Hello, everybody. This is Jackie Cox coming to you with ACE Community, and I'm super proud to have Krista Goode with us as well. And so she's going to be our speaker next week on Wednesday, June 4th. Already in June, cannot believe that. But she's going to be our amazing speaker for us. Wednesday, June 4th, we do meet at Bucket List Tavern in Castle Rock, 4 to 6 p.m. So I hope you'll join us because Krista is amazing and she has incredible things to share as well. So I do have, Krista is with Edward Jones, and I do have a slight disclaimer that I'm going to share really briefly before we get started, just so she stays in compliant and I'm not, disregarding her rules or anything like that. So I already have an existing business relationship with Edward Jones. And this event is not a testimonial of the services provided by Edward Jones Financial advisor Krista Goode. So just so we are aware of that, I love her and I will dote on her personally, but I'm not able to from a financial standpoint. So I have a business relationship and that's what this is all about for today. But we're really here to have some fun. So Krista, welcome. Thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm enjoying a nice vacation with my husband in good old Cancun right now. And so Krista was kind enough to just, take some time and before we meet next week. But I'm just super excited to be with Krista. We're great friends. We've traveled together. I'm actually going to share your bio really quick too, Krista, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right. So in Krista's words here, her hometown Lake Stevens, Washington holds countless memorable experiences. One of the biggest family bonding times with her parents and sister were working as a team, whether that was yard work, cooking and cleanup, or throwing a surprise party. At the time, she didn't know just how well that would bond them to this very day and instill a pride of home ownership, hard work, and fulfilling friendships. While she learned a great deal about how to care for a home, her parents and grandparents also taught her the value of saving and investing. As her parents grew their business, they took more interest in investing. Every morning, her dad and Krista would watch the opening bell for the stock market, and then he drove her to school while listening to the news radio. I love that. They have such a great bond. It's such a great father-daughter relationship. I love seeing that, Krista, by the way. To this day, she remembers checking to see the closing prices of the stocks he followed when she got home from school. Over time, her interest continued to grow, and she pursued her business degree at the University of Idaho. After graduation, she worked for 2 local banks and progressed her career to becoming AVP and branch manager. Years later, she moved to Colorado Springs, and she found her passion as a financial advisor with Edward Jones. Each day, she's excited to come into the office and learn more about her clients and what's important to them. She tailors financial strategies to fit each goal, such as early retirement, emergency savings, college, and more. Her goal is for you to feel comfortable, educated, and understand your strategy throughout the process. Outside of the office, she plays golf at the Colorado Springs Country Club, snowboards in Breckenridge, and enjoys watching football. She's always rooting on her own home team, which is the Seattle Seahawks. Remember that, Denver folks. She enjoys traveling to Seattle to visit her grandmother and friends, and to Las Vegas to visit her dad and her sister, and new places, most recently Florence, Italy, although I think that might have been Belize, but Florence, Italy, we got to share together, and we have a special bond and always have memorable experiences from that. So Krista, thank you again for being here. Appreciate you so much.
Yeah, that's a good notice on the biography. I got to update my last place to Belize, and I went to Paris and Amsterdam last year. So yeah. Everything else is true. That's just not current on my travel.
Yeah, no worries. No, I saw it and I was like, oh no, I love it. I love it that Italy still sits at her heart like mine does. But I love that you're doing so much traveling and adventuring and experiences. So how has that helped you grow as a person with those travel experiences that you feel you've come upon?
I think it really opens up the eyes to other cultures and people instead of it just kind of being, I kind of sometimes will get a little tunnel vision in what I'm used to and the people that I interact with, the small town that I grew up in, even just here in Colorado Springs, the kind of bubble that we have, and seeing how different it was in like COVID then versus say Denver versus when my sister still lived out in Seattle. And so the world just really expands and seeing what that that different aspect of culture and how people just
Love that.
enjoy the day to day, and even from different city to different city. Because when we were in Florence, really, I didn't notice that shops closed, say, for lunchtime, versus when
Yeah.
we extended our trip and my dad, sister, and I stayed in Lervino. They did. They closed and had like these pockets that you had to go at specific times for your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that's a more cultural norm that you go,
Yeah.
oh, like I thought we were in this tourist town. We didn't think about it till the first time we went out to grab lunch. And so you just go, oh, what appreciation to that. And you just see a lot more relaxation and going, what is it that we're doing here in America? How do you, it's really expanded me to think about how do I want to live my life, and having, as you know, we can't always be perfect in balance on work-life balance, as they say,
Yeah.
but making sure that we're getting enough of both and fulfilling our life that way. So I think other cultures bring that in. And then just really, we still talk about the food, all these different places that we've gone.
Love it.
It's probably the biggest other part outside of that. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Well, and then
important.
let's not forget the shopping. I mean, that let's be
Oh, yes. Oh, okay. Well, Florence will always have my, well, all of Italy that we spent time in. The shopping there was absolutely amazing. A suitcase and a half probably came home.
ah,
Uh, yeah.
love it.
I mean, sandals, boots, pants, shorts, shirts, jewelry, all
Yeah.
sorts of so the shopping there was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it melts my heart every time I see you. I mean, it could be a new outfit or something I've already seen, but something that came from Italy, whether it's your purse or a pink outfit or any of the things that you got in Italy. It makes me so happy because I'm like, oh, that's a bond we shared together, and we just we got to experience that together, and I just think it was awesome, and I just was so impressed with you, your sister, and your dad of how much shopping you guys could get in that much that short of a period, and I was like, wow, they're hitting it hard.
Oh yeah. My sister and I remind me of when we went shopping for like middle school and high school, college together, because we could power shop all day long and just really enjoyed it. So that was a great memory. And that was my first time to Europe. So it was just a really special, wonderful trip. And so to have all of those type of experiences and get to see how I like to travel and like the pros and cons
Mhm.
of different places. Because like when we went to Paris, in comparison to the museums
Yeah.
and the tour guides and how they told the stories in Italy about the paintings that we saw, compared to
Mhm.
it was really difficult even in a small group. I think there was only 6 or 8 of us at the Louvre, and so we didn't have
Wow.
the headsets, but it was, and her voice just, and speaking the portraits, that are in French, and then she would come back to English, but it was really hard to sometimes distinguish the two with her accent and all the background
Mhm.
noise. So just realizing like having that earbud, even just when you're traveling, even if it is a small group. And so we didn't get some of the stories and really some of that background, versus I can remember many pictures that we saw in Italy that I didn't know that we were
Mhm.
even going to see, that kind of created this history and impact of going to those places. And then even like at Florence, when we were walking through there to the first museum, and we're like, all these famous people like stepped on all of these cobblestones. And like you just really realize that
Yeah.
the world is much older, versus Washington State, late 1800s was founded. And
Right.
these things date back to, before AD. So it's just absolutely incredible to be in a different space for that type of history.
Yeah, yeah, it really is very incredible. I mean, countries that have been around for 2000 plus years, more than 2000 years, I mean, it just seems crazy to know how much they have really focused in on their culture and their history, and they're very proud of that. And I think we are too as a country too, but we're so much younger, and so
Right.
it's just their roots are very deep in countries like
Mhm.
Italy and Paris or France and Amsterdam and uh, cities
Mhm.
and countries. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I was chatting with someone that just recently moved to New York, Albany area. And when I was talking, asking, the difference of Colorado Springs to there, they're like, I mean, obviously it's more expensive was number one thing. But
Yeah.
two, just like so easy to get to Boston, Philadelphia, up to Canada, down to all like to the city and such, New York City. And they're like, a half-mile walk is where one of the presidents is buried. I mean, they can
Wow.
just like how different to, grow up because their kids are middle school, I want to say. So
Sure.
now this history that they actually can go see and witness and just maybe as short
Mhm.
as a half-mile walk to a couple of hours on a train ride and really see where things happen kind of actually reminds me of Phoenix and how she got into traveling with her
Yeah.
parents going, well, don't you want to go see, why don't we go try to observe what you're learning about in school? I think it's just really a neat and different way for them to have a respect for the country versus growing up more so on the west side, that a lot of that country founding just wasn't there that we hear about. So I think it's quite fascinating depending on where you live and just what
Yeah.
it kind of brought to you as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, before we shift to some of the things that got you into your current field, I know you like to do some big adventures when you're out and traveling. You've hopped on a camel, you've done some
Okay.
skydiving. I mean, like you've done some amazing things. What do you think that that drive is for that adventure spirit that lives inside of you?
I think it comes from just trying to uh, push my own boundaries, my comfort zone,
Yeah, I love it.
um, to feel a little young at heart at times. Like
Yeah,
I don't want to look back and go, "Oh, I'm so bummed that I didn't do this."
yeah,
Realizing just kind of, how short life could possibly be, or
right.
what if you physically can't do something later on. So we really do uh, try, I believe, to make the most out of life,
Mhm.
and just kind of have a reset. And some of those experiences have become absolute favorites. I mean, I still think about skydiving way more probably than I did for bungee jumping. Although there's a great story in that too with my friend that I went with, but even just learning scuba diving
Yeah.
this season we went in
I
Belize and
know.
just kind of seeing all of that. Glad I saw Mission Impossible yesterday after already learning about that. I'm like, oh, all of the disclaimers they gave him for a particular scene, I was like, I don't know if I'd go on this adventure, but you just just those different experiences of what it can kind of bring to you.
Sure. Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I think it's just awesome. You dive right in and you're like, ah, let's try it. Why not? What else do we got to, what do we got to lose? Just try it. So that's
Yes.
awesome. I love that. And so I think that that kind of carries through with your entrepreneurial spirit. It feels like, I mean, just in knowing you, you had your own scrapbooking store. You've been an entrepreneur for most of your career, it sounds like. And
Mhm.
just based on your bio from, and the history I know from your parent about your parents, it sounds like you grew up with an entrepreneurial spirit and
Mhm.
encouraged by that. So talk about that a little bit of how that kind of instilled in you a little bit more drive and the desire to want to have your own business and things like that and be your own, boss.
Yeah, well, so neither of my parents, well, I think briefly my mom worked for a couple of other places, but I did not really recall that. Like she was a dental assistant, but I think she was
Sure.
done by the time like I would have had any memories of it. My sister might remember it a little more. And she did work part-time for a florist. And so that's where she certainly got inspired to open her own floral shop, but that was probably still maybe 1 to 2 years, but they were always self-employed. Like that was just the
Hmm.
norm. So sometimes I
Yeah.
have to ask people when they have kids, or if they were a kid, I'm like, well, what did your parents do during summertime? What do you do with your kids? Because my parents
Yeah.
were always around. There was always somebody around. So that was
Sure.
just definitely different. And I just remember, and I loved going it. I would get a book from the library and I would go, hey, Dad, can I go with you out to your appointment? And he said yes. And he knew that I would get in the car and I would read, and I knew he'd be inside for, whatever, 45 minutes to an somebody about what they're looking for. He'd built custom garages. And so he would kind of walk through that process with them. And then, we would probably chat either how the appointment went or what was going on in the book on the way home. And I mean, these could be anywhere from 15 minutes away to an hour away from our
Love
house.
it.
So it's just time to, get out. And and those were usually evening appointments. Growing up, he very much, for the most part, probably 75% of what I remember was he went after people got off work or on a Saturday morning and did those appointments. And so I saw
Mm.
what that took. Once a year, there was a huge home show out in Snohomish. Actually, it was Monroe, Washington. So about a half an hour probably from our house. And so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, he was there for the 10, 12, 14 hours and all the setup and all the takedown, and met clients for decades doing that.
Wow.
I remember him submitting the Little Nickel, the free newspaper where you could advertise today, which probably doesn't exist anymore, and getting, the phone calls for that. We were not allowed to answer line two because that was the business phone number, so we always had to check
Oh,
what line we answered. And then even my mom, when she had her floral shop, it was actually just maybe 2 blocks from my middle school, so I could go down there after school or after volleyball practice. And so, like the work that went into Valentine's Day, I remember her waking up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning to do flower arrangements to make sure everything went
wow.
smooth. I was old enough when she was actually getting the business going. She opened on, I'm pretty sure it was Halloween or it was the day before Halloween.
Oh, wow.
So she wouldn't miss the holiday season. And I remember they got those green and white, huge, like what your accountant would have. And I'm trying to think what the old DOS printers.
Oh, yes, the
Yeah.
paper. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So she got that from the USPS store, I think of like all the people that lived in Lake Stevens or something. And they had postcards printed. And I remember helping her handwrite, like, hey, we are open. Here's a special. Like you could
Oh
set
my
up
God.
accounts,
Okay.
all of that kind of stuff. So, and helping be a part of that. I remember on Valentine's Day, I asked if I could help deliver the flowers. So I did that.
Oh
And
my
so it was just,
gosh.
and my dad makes me laugh. They get about it, but I made like little, probably either crayon or marker brochures for him to pass out like at the
Love
home,
it.
kinds of stuff. And he did. He's like, oh yeah, I handed them all out. Now, whether he actually did or not, I do not know. But I just know
Oh,
that he did that. So it just was always like this part. Like I really had an interest always in
yeah.
business. And so I think a lot of the skills just kind of occurred and
Mhm.
happened over that of like, oh, this is just what you do, how you take care of clients, how
Clients.
you have
Yeah.
a great observation of dad would make sure that the garage looked like the house and that they were like as if they were paired together and built at the same time.
Love it.
Um, Mom, took care of the husbands and, they set up accounts. And so the anniversaries, the birthdays for all the kids and the wife, Secretary's Day, etc. Like, this is all before CRMs are a thing. She kept
Right.
all of that, her and her partner, by hand and made sure that those people with the accounts always looked good. And so you just kind of go, oh, this
Oh,
is just part of what you do. And so it's just wonderful
yeah.
to be around all of that. And um, it just makes me very happy to be a business owner and what I get
Yeah.
to do and the type of service that I like to give, the experiences being brought up in that type of
Yeah.
um, household, and just realizing that it was a very unique and wonderful childhood that many people probably uh, in some ways couldn't replicate or say that they had a similar type of experience. So it,
Yeah.
like it said in the biography, just really bonded us. Taking care of 5 acres is a lot. We
It
mowed,
is. Yeah.
I mowed specifically all of it. It
Yeah.
was 5 hours. It took 20 times to dump out the lawn clippings in May and June because it was so great on the weather and the moisture in Seattle. So I
Wow.
remember that. And if you went through and started weeding, once you finished, like over the week, you had to start it all over. I mean, it was, so that's where a lot of just that home ownership pride, like really
Yeah.
certainly came in on everybody doing kind of their part. So, very, very many special memories and bonding there.
That's awesome. Well, I never got a chance to meet your mom, but I have met your dad several times, and I can tell that so many things that you're just describing has come through full force with you in such pride in you. I mean, you love your flowers and you love being able to, you're a very thoughtful gift giver, and when it comes to personal birthdays and things like that, I mean, I can see where this all comes from based on what you just said and shared with our audience of this has been instilled in you for your entire life, which is so incredible. I mean, you have so much thought, you have so much intuition on people, and I think that is such an amazing skill. And I think it's great. I mean, your parents are very much to thank for this, just based on how you're describing this, and you ran with it. I just think that those skills are just so incredible, and and you can tell, like, some of that makes sense. It's like, oh, you had a scrapbooking shop that, scrapbooking and flowers and making people feel good with gratitude and things like that. That all makes sense. I mean, it just, I think it's love. I love hearing your background story of it because I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, she has been doing that since she was a baby.
Mhm. Oh
That's
yes.
amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I was probably one of the top, like the cells of, Easter candy or the Christmas wrapping paper, all of
Yes,
those
I
kind of things.
love
Like,
it.
that was just how my personality, I guess, what
Yeah,
I've always been to some degree. I feel like in sales and just being around people, what they're looking for. And sometimes, it could be the opposite of what you think, but sometimes it's not
I
about upselling. It's actually about getting the right product. And sometimes the right product is less expensive. And then the clients are
yeah,
shocked by some of that, and then they're like, then you built that trust and they realize that you
right,
know what you're talking about, and that you looked out for them, that you cared enough to ask a question, that you're not
yeah,
just in and out, robotically going through the
yeah,
moves and such, right? So it
yeah.
was just kind of thankfully how I was brought up
Yeah.
or just
Yeah.
what came natural
Well,
to me.
it's incredible. I mean, I know you're very proud of how you got brought up, and you should be because that's amazing to hear. And I think you could do a whole talk just on follow-up and appreciating clients. And I mean, people could learn so much from that personal side of you. And it's just, again, it's second nature to you and it's not to everybody else. And I love that you're still part of that, old soul, old school generation, like, kind of like myself, of like, we send thank you notes and we show appreciation and gratitude towards people and experiences. And I love that you have that in you. And trust me when I tell you, it matters. It matters to your friends and your clients and things like that. I mean, it does, it matters. And so it's just, and now the whole story, it all makes sense. It all makes perfect sense because you haven't known anything else but this, which I think is just awesome. So, I mean, I love that you have new flowers behind you. And I heard you, or I saw your post about going to the what,
Oh
botanical
yeah.
gardens or something, or was it a flower shop or plant shop?
So it's Dutch Heritage Gardens out in
Okay.
Larkspur, Colorado. And so it was probably the size of going to Costco times 12.
Oh my
And it's
gosh,
filled
and you
with
love
just,
Costco.
yeah. And it's like filled with plants. I got 12 hanging baskets. I got perennials. I got annuals. The truck was full for Meg and I coming home. She had flowers down at her feet. And we're like, okay, so next year, well, this is how we're going to use Joel's truck. And we started already talking about how we need to figure where we could get some more. And then one of our friends was like, how come you didn't invite me? And I instantly, without a beat, there was no room
There
for
was
you.
no room for you.
There was hardly room for Meg.
Oh my gosh, that
Like, we'll
is
have to take two vehicles if you want to go.
that is great. But
Yeah.
that makes sense though. Your mom had a flower shop and there's so
Oh
much
yeah.
beauty and of you from your mom. Like I said, I never got a chance to meet her. Having said that, I can just tell by the way you describe her that there's so much of her that's inside of you and it's
Yeah.
beautiful to see. So, oh my gosh, I love that. And so now have you taken the time to plant all of these things yet or not yet?
So I did do two planter containers right before the rain on Sunday.
Okay.
So that was good. So I still have some more to go. We did get 6 of the 12 hanging baskets up. So we have a few more that way to go. So we'll see. I've got some, it'll all get done by the end of this weekend. So, but they're
That's
enjoying
awesome.
the lovely 60 degrees and rain right now. So they're in good hands in Mother Nature. So
I love it. I love it. Well, that's awesome. So as a reminder, Krista is going to be speaking for us on Wednesday, June 4th. We're speaking for the ACE community. So adventure, creativity, and enjoyment is what ACE is all about. And we're all about having fun. And so naturally I mean, our energy matches so well and we have so much fun together. And so naturally, we're very proud to have Krista as a community member as well. And she's going to be speaking for us. So I want our audience to be thinking of questions to think about what your future potential could look like. What things you really, what's egging, just nagging on you that you need answered. We have a professional here that's going to be able to answer some of those questions for you on Wednesday. You can tell she's lived through it. She's got the entrepreneurial spirit. She loves to travel and have fun. She makes time for hobbies and creating life balance. So there's a lot of life tips in addition to some entrepreneurial tips or communication tips, follow-up tips, but also being able to know what things will work for your potential as well. And so be sure to come and check her out next Wednesday. We're so excited to have you as our speaker. Krista will be sharing all of her experience and her wealth of knowledge around that. And I think we could have Krista on stage for 3 hours, but she'll be there for 30 minutes with us.
You'll have some more time with me if you go to camp, because I'll be at camp with Jacki and the community.
Yes, she will. Yes, she will. I'm super excited. And so can I say that? Yes.
What's that I'm at camp?
Yeah, you're going to be at camp with us. You're going to be sharing some things there as well. So she will be one of our amazing sponsors there as well. So we're super excited about that. Adult camp experience is coming up in September 24th to 27th up at Snow Mountain Ranch in Granby. And I tell you what, if you've done summer camp before and you're like, oh my gosh, I would love to relive that. This is summer camp for adults. And so we are not camping, just so we're clear. We're going to be in a cabin together, having this great camaraderie time, business building from our awesome sponsors and speakers, as well as a lot of fun. So definitely come on board with us for that. We only have 7 spots. Can you believe it? We only have 7 spots left for camp. So our cabin will host up to 20 people in the cabin itself. So again, Krista is going to be one of our many, one of our awesome speaker sponsors and attendees at camp. And so you'll get all sorts of campfire time with all of us, but more so it's going to be fun just to be able to sit down and learn from the best of the best. So anyway, so Krista, is there anything else you want to share with our audience of just being able to reach out to you or get in touch with you or anything like that?
If you are interested in chatting more, you can go to our website at Edward Jones, and you can search for Krista Goode, Krista Goode, and set up a complimentary meeting so we can chat more about that. And then on a personal side, just try to find what you're grateful for each day and find how that guides you into a beautiful day.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much, Krista, for being on with us today. And she has the best, the goodest last name, Goode. And oftentimes when I'm sending texts now, if I'm actually writing the word good, it corrects it to Goode now.
Love it. Infiltrate the world.
Yes,
it's like
yes,
Brown
exactly.
grade, right? We're gonna take over the world. All good will be spelled.
All good will be spread by Krista Goode. Yes. So anyway, Krista, thank you so much for your time and energy today. We're excited to have you next Wednesday at ACE Community with us. And we could chat all day, but I probably better close this down. So thanks everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you.